So in your report, there's this sense that leaders are still showing up, even in the
Mhm.
midst of all the uncertainty, right? I mean,
That's right. Yeah.
what do you think is sustaining leaders right now?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that because the bottom line with all of that is leaders go first. And
Mhm.
leaders realize that they have to take care of themselves. So that one of the participants, she's a CFO in her own business, does a lot of work with nonprofits, although profits too. And she's the one in the report who said, what I've resorted to is creating sustainable processes. Like I
Mhm.
have a menu. I eat certain things on certain days. I have a bedtime. I do some of the basic things that I know are going to help me and my family so that I can function. It's not fancy, but it helps me stay grounded. And it's like, okay, leaders go first. It starts with us and then it can extend out. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Because we can do our best work if we're not taking care of ourselves, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, Hello, my extraordinary women friends. As we continue our theme exploring the Great Recalibration, one of the themes I've been coming back to again and again this year is the power of the pause. The pause is where leadership begins. It is where we reconnect with ourselves. It's where we come back to our energy, our presence, and our ability to choose how we show up in the moments that matter most. In my work with women entrepreneurs and leaders, I see how much women are holding back right now. Businesses, teams, families, communities, and decisions that carry real weight. The pace around us continues to move quickly, and leadership asks us to stay steady within that. And when we are grounded in ourselves, there is a different quality to how we lead. There is more clarity in our decisions, more intention in how we move, and a deeper trust in ourselves as we navigate what is in front of us. That's why today's conversation feels so aligned. My dear friend, Chris Johnson, is joining me again today. And if you've listened to our first conversation, you know the depth she brings to this work. We explored the power of the pause, embodiment, and what it means to lead from presence. Chris is one of my movement maker clients, and it has been a gift to support her in her important work for this world. There's a steadiness in how she leads and how she teaches leadership that feels especially important in this moment. Since our last conversation, Chris has been doing important work. Over the past several months, she has been in deep conversation with leaders across industries, listening closely to what it actually feels like to lead right now. These are leaders making real decisions, holding real responsibility, and navigating real complexity every single day. Through her report, Still in It, she brings forward what many leaders are carrying beneath the surface: the complexity of decision making, the weight of responsibility, the reality of continuing to lead in environments that are shifting quickly and often unpredictably. This is what leadership looks like right now. And today we're stepping into that conversation. And also, today marks an important moment in Chris's work. Her companion book of practices to her first book, The Leadership Pause, launches today. The book of practices takes the concepts she has been teaching and brings them into daily lived leadership. It offers a way for leaders to build the muscle of presence, to access steadiness in real time, and to lead with a deeper level of awareness in the moments that matter most. And that feels incredibly needed right now. In today's conversation, we explore what leaders are experiencing beneath the surface, how decision making is evolving, and how practices like pause and breath and embodiment support us in leading through this season. If you've been feeling a call to reconnect with yourself as a leader, to lead with more intention, and to stay anchored in what matters most, this conversation will meet you there. Let's meet Chris Johnson. Well, welcome back to Extraordinary Women Radio, Chris. It is great to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Mhm.
Yeah, it's been so much fun watching your work as of late, and you've got so much good things coming out. I'm
Hmm.
super excited for you.
Yeah.
And so since our last conversation, you have been out listening deeply to
Yes.
leaders and through your report, Still in It.
Yes.
And what have you been hearing? Tell us a little bit about what you've been hearing from
Yeah.
the women executives and the executives that you work with.
Yeah. They weren't all women, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably about half of them were. And what I can say is it was pretty astonishing. I was really glad that people were willing to take the time. But the result in the report that I wrote is that there are 6 themes that seem to be emerging across all of the 22 participants. And these are all folks who are not all in the Chicago area where I'm from, but around the country in a variety of different roles. But each of the participants espouses a conscious leadership orientation. And
Mhm.
so we discovered 6 themes that were consistent. And probably the biggest one is fear
Yeah.
and the subsequent decision fatigue that's a result of that.
Yeah. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, we're just in interesting times, right? I mean, I think
Oh
we're in a
my.
time that it's never been like this right now. And so
No.
to like dive in and to really hear what
Hmm.
each person really what they were
Yeah.
experiencing in the workplace right now.
Yeah.
What interesting perspectives that they're feeling, right? The
Oh,
fear.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, in fact, one of the management consulting guys, he said, Chris, it's really weird. We've never seen this level of fear in the executives in the organizations that we're working with. And they aren't always saying, I'm afraid, but in fact, in the way they're behaving and how they're making decisions, that's exactly what's manifesting. So it was like,
So talk a little bit more about that. Like how are they behaving that's identifying or really has that thread to the fear.
yeah. So the biggest thing that came up with this particular gentleman I'm referencing is that what he noticed is that the fear is what you and I, as people who are really tuned into the embodiment piece, people are contracting. So they're hoarding
Mm,
information because it feels
very
risky.
good.
Like, who are they? Can we share this information? Will it be safe? Will it ruin our reputation? So all the way from hoarding information to who do we talk to. And so they're avoiding hard conversations as a result. And that came up in every single one of the conversations in one way or another, which is
Wow.
pretty, this is not what we need now.
Right.
This is not
Right.
what we need now.
Right. And so let's
Yeah.
talk about conscious leadership. Just
hmm
give us a grounding definition of conscious leadership.
Yeah, conscious leadership is when the participants, as a conscious leader, espouse a particular point of view. And by that, people are leaders in the conscious business space are interested in the well-being of all. They're interested in purposeful leadership that rolls out into organizations where there's empathy and care. We still get really great work done, but we're caring about our culture. They're
Hmm.
driven by purpose, which is why
Yeah.
we're here, right? Like, we're
Right.
doing this because we have a purpose that we're living into. So all of these folks, from factory to filmmakers to management consultants to CFOs, all of these folks share that common goal.
Right. That's their
Yeah.
goal is to be leading an organization that has a
Yeah.
different caring for their people and
Yes.
the reason that the company even exists. It's not
Yes.
just the bottom line there.
No, it's not just the bottom line. It's not just money. And each of them spoke to that in their respective way. Some of them referenced history, like family owned businesses. There were a couple. Some of them referenced more their internal stakeholders, their employees, and taking care of them and the constituents that they serve in the community. It was pretty fascinating to
Yeah.
actually be privileged to have these conversations. So,
Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
It's, I did my own listening campaign last year, and
Yeah,
it is really, I mean, it's such an honor to get to receive the information for people to be able to share and to open up. And
yeah,
it's so powerful when you do that. It's incredibly powerful when you can
yeah.
hear what's underneath all of this. So
hmm
in your report, there's this sense that leaders are still showing up even in the
hmm
midst of all the uncertainty, right? I mean,
That's right. Yeah.
what do you think is sustaining leaders right now?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that because the bottom line with all of that is leaders go first, and
Hmm.
leaders realize that they have to take care of themselves. So that one of the participants, she's a CFO in her own business, does a lot of work with nonprofits, although profits too. And she's the one in the report who said, what I've resorted to is creating sustainable processes. Like, I
Hmm.
have a menu. I eat certain things on certain days. I have a bedtime. I do some of the basic things that I know are going to help me and my family so that I can function. It's not fancy, but it helps me stay grounded. And it's like, okay, leaders go first. It starts with us and then it can extend out. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No,
Yeah.
totally, because we
Mhm.
can't do our best work if we're not taking care of ourselves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, what are you noticing beneath the surface when it comes to how leaders are making decisions today? And what's so
Yeah.
different today than even like a year or two ago?
Yeah. A year or two ago, we were already seeing an uptick in levels of busyness and
Mm,
stress. And in my come from as a therapist and now coach, we know that when we're super stressed, the brain takes a lot of energy to actually function well. So when we're overly stressed, that gets depleted and we can't think as clearly. So not only are we tired, we're just not making as well, we're not making decisions as well. And so people are putting off decisions.
mm,
There's a little bit of a tendency to make decisions in a silo when one is not managing their own stress well. And one
mm-hmm.
of the gentlemen even said, hey, at some point, what's the point? I'm fatigued because I'm doing what matters, but then I'm unable to rejuvenate myself. And when we're unable to rejuvenate ourselves, that's really not great for how we show up with our constituents, our internal and external stakeholders.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think what was fascinating as I read your report was,
Mhm.
you had the six different things. Can you name the six different things that off the top,
Yeah, you're
share
gonna
what
put
those
me on
were?
this spot here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put
I
you on the
definitely
spot.
wanna put you Yes, there were 6 themes. I'll just list the 6. So,
Yeah,
f
yeah, yeah.
fear is running closer to the surface. And so we want to look at the biology of fear and what helps. Second, decision fatigue is draining our capacity. So there's a
Hmm.
difference between exhaustion and fatigue, and that difference matters because the treatment is distinctive. Number
Hmm.
3 is that AI is accelerating faster than our wisdom and our capacity to keep up
Yeah,
with it. That came up in every conversation.
that was really
Um,
fascinating.
it was fascinating and not surprising, but it was
Yeah,
just interesting to hear them. Yeah. And then number 4, and I probably found this as the most kind of interesting, is that contraction under in these times of difficulty and unsteadiness is happening while things are emerging at the same time. So like
yeah,
things are dying off and then they're springing. And it's interesting we're having this conversation this spring when things are starting to pop up and show themselves again in terms of our plant world, right? And then human connection, it's the missing resource, and actually a prerequisite is presence. And that starts again with ourselves. And then the last one is the next generation's watching us, and they're really looking for how are our seniors, our elders, how are they modeling how we navigate this craziness?
yeah. And
Yeah.
the other piece that I found really interesting was you had
Hmm.
these themes, but then when you looked at what conscious leadership is about, it
Yeah,
addresses each one of those
it
things.
does, right? It totally
Yeah,
does. Yes, it
I
does.
know. It was like
Uh-huh.
it was brilliant. And so
Uh-huh.
um when you look at conscious leadership, being able to be in this world right now to support what
Yeah.
the messiness that's going on,
Hmm. Hmm.
what comes to your heart when you think
Mm.
about that?
I think about you and I, some of the folks and other leaders that we know, like this is our time to show up. We're
Yeah,
kind of on the
yeah.
cusp of something really new moving
Hmm.
forward. So I hold that, I feel that in my bones. It definitely starts with me, with you, with each of us,
Hmm.
and getting kind of our house in order to be present, because that's really going to be the distinction. And that goes to my book. So the leadership pause was really a few years ago a call to action for people to take seriously the importance of the pause, because it's
Hmm.
in that pause, that stimulus response, that little space right there that Viktor
Yeah,
Frankl told us about. That's where all the good juju is for happening. And we can't make our best decisions or show up as our best selves unless we're willing to slow down just long enough for that, right?
yeah,
So that's really, I'm excited about. There's lots of to be excited about as well.
yeah.
Um, And
And
there's lots to
there's
be
that
nervous.
expansion. It's like
Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
contraction, there's the expansion, and I
Yeah.
so feel that.
Yeah.
That when I read that piece of it, I was like, oh my gosh, this part is really brilliant because this is
Uh-huh.
what I have been feeling too. You know, as
Yeah.
even in the entrepreneurial space, I feel
Sure.
people. When I had my conversations last year, I felt the contraction that people were feeling,
Mhm.
and they were pausing and
Uh-huh.
they were listening and
Good.
they were like and what was coming from that was that their desire to do business differently
Yes.
and
Isn't that
and that
great?
it
So
totally
great.
it's like
Uh-huh.
yeah and so it's that desire to do business differently and once they
Mhm.
found that
Yeah.
that's where the expansion would happen is
In
when
their
they would stop and
businesses?
listen yeah
Nice.
and they
Mhm.
were able to identify when the revenue boost would happen
Mhm.
after they had taken that pause. And
Yeah.
so it's I
Mm.
think it's just so important that we're looking at it through this lens.
Yes.
And your book. So let's talk about your
Mhm.
book. So your
Sure.
first book really introduced all of these ideas in a very powerful way, and
Yeah.
you've got a new companion book coming out that is a book
Yes.
of practices
Yes.
and it's as this podcast is actually going to launch on the day that your book launch
Yay!
is, which
Thank
I'm
you.
excited about. Yeah. So what inspired you to write that to create that companion book of practices to go along with the leadership pause?
So this is the leadership pause.
Yeah.
And I wrote it 4 years ago because I really needed to read it because I was getting caught up in all the stuff too. And this is the proof. It's not the final yet. You can see the yellow tabs. I've got some
Ooh.
changes to make, but I ended up creating this as a way for people to progress and go through the contents in the book and
Mm-hmm.
to really pause and to be still themselves so they can work on that inner self that we need to start with
Mm-hmm.
and then we
Mm-hmm.
can apply it. So there's some possibilities for how to work with teams in here as well. And one of the groovy things that technology is about that we discovered, I'll just say this. So at the end of each chapter, there's a QR code that sets up the next chapter. And if you go here, you can go to my website and listen to the whole book on Audible that's on my website, and then do the practices in the next chapter. So you get to
Oh,
listen, reflect, and then go ahead and do the practices. So I'm pretty
oh,
excited. And the reason I did it is people kept asking me, like, well, how can I make this more than just sitting and meditating, Chris? Or how can I take it into a meeting that I'm having?
yeah,
Can you help me set up the meeting and the conversations I want to have and bring some of this forward? So
yeah.
this is my attempt to do that. Mhm.
Yeah, I love it, and
Yeah.
it's so exciting. And it's one, but it's so practical and being able to give us a way to
Yeah.
like be in the exercises, be in the
Yes.
practices, and that's where
Yes.
the learning really takes hold, right?
That is where the learning
Because we
takes
can
hold.
read all day long, and if you can do the practices alongside the reading
Yeah.
or the listening, how
Right.
powerful that is.
Yeah, the other day, a couple days ago, or last week rather, I did a training called Being Steady in Unsteady Times, Harnessing the Power of Pause. And when I
Hmm.
was introducing myself a little bit, because there are a few people that I didn't know, that's one of the things I said is that I'm very much a pragmatist, but I'm also a somaticist. So it's all about moving through the body. And if
Hmm.
we just read a book, it's only going to make this much difference. But if we drop
Right.
into the practices, we can take it out into the world. And then if we do the practices together, even
Yeah.
more exponential, right? So,
Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. So let's just kind of talk about what it's like to live in the pause or making the space for ourselves on a day to day.
Mm.
How do practices like breath and awareness and embodiment really support leaders in real time?
It's a great question. It might be the $64,000 question, actually. Remember
Yeah.
that old show? So here's the thing, is it's not a psychological woo-woo. It's not a Buddhist or spiritual practice, although if you have one, you can integrate it. It's all based in biology. If
Hmm.
our biology is all wound up or stressed out or constricted, we do
Hmm.
not function as well. So when my grandma said, "Hey, Chris, you seem all upset. Why don't you go take a walk? Or
Yeah.
maybe you need a nap." I mean, she was onto it,
My
right?
mom would tell me to go ride my horse.
Yeah, there you go. Same thing, right? Like
Totally
get
would.
stunk up because it's all starts in the biology. And so leaders can take these practices onto their own meetings with
Yeah.
themselves, and then they can teach it to their people. You can start a business meeting with 30 seconds of a pause. Have
Yeah.
people pay attention to their breath. And then you set the stage. Maybe you check in with people so that people feel that they're wanted in the meeting, that their presence is important in the meeting. Um,
Hmm.
there are tons of ways, and that's what the book is about, is like all the different ways that we can practice pause and integrate it into our day to day.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
it. So many leaders are carrying a lot right now: the
Yeah.
responsibility, the uncertainty, the
Hmm.
weight of decisions, the fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
What helps someone stay grounded and present in the middle of all of that?
My favorite thing, and this was informed a lot by my years of Aikido practice,
Hmm.
but one of the best things you can do, since energy rises, so if I'm
Hmm.
all jazzed up and stressed out, my energy will go up and high, and I'll get in my head, and my voice will go up. And this happens for everybody. You watch it,
Yeah.
is to basically say, hey, wait a minute, Cami or Chris or anybody, feel your feet.
Oh, yeah.
Energy follows
Yeah.
attention, so put your attention in
Yeah.
your feet right now. Feel the bottom of your feet. Now let yourself sink into the gravity of the fact that we have a body. And
Yeah.
pretty like it goes boop, it's a little magic. So that's
Yeah.
one, and it's super
That's a
easy, right?
great one. And
Mhm.
the other one I do is,
Mm.
because I come with some of the background of my trainings in the art of feminine presence, where
Yeah.
it's you drop into that core of you, and
Yes.
and I know you've seen me do that, where you put your hand just below your belly button, and
Yeah.
you kind of
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
crosshairs in the middle of your body, and you
Uh-huh.
feel into that space, and then
Yes.
that again, it drops you down out from
Mhm.
being in your head.
That's right. Totally. We call
Yeah.
that hara in Aikido. So 2 inches below your belly button and kind of right in the
Yeah.
middle of the body, those crosshairs you're talking about,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hara. And like you want to breathe from there. And the more we
Yeah.
breathe from there, we're resourcing up and then we can extend it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
spell that, because I've heard Dantian and I've heard the womb space. So
Yeah.
spell that word. I don't know the spelling of that word.
It
Hara.
just it comes from a different tradition. It's hara, Hara, hara.
Okay. Hara.
And so
Cool.
it's Dantian. Yeah. All,
Yeah.
all similar space, right? We're talking
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing. Hmm.
Yeah. Totally.
Hmm.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Love it. Um, for the woman who's listening and just feels stretched and pulled in so many just different directions, where would
Hmm.
you invite her to begin reconnecting with herself as a leader?
Hmm. I would encourage her to go outside. I would encourage her to take off her shoes. It's getting warm enough to do
Mm,
that.
yeah,
And
totally.
I would feel the ground,
Yeah,
regardless of what it is. It could be cement, but it might be grass, it might be gravel, and just really feel what it's like to walk a little bit. And then let her central nervous system settle on purpose, like, hey, I'm taking a little pause for myself. And then go find a place to sit and just jot a few notes about answering the question, what's important to me right now?
yeah,
What's
yeah.
important in my leadership right now? And
Hmm.
then just to do a free write. Those would be some very simple ways that folks can get started.
I've gotten some really insightful things by doing that very thing.
Hmm.
Just making space. I remember years ago it was an eclipse season, and
Cool.
I was out on my backyard, and I was doing, I
Hmm.
had bare feet, and I had
Hmm.
candles and all the thing, sage and all
Hmm.
the stuff, right?
Cool.
and,
Yeah.
and I had like some of the most, and the horses were over the fence, and I had some of the most profound things that shaped my business come through to me. So I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in those kinds
Yeah.
of moments where we can just ground
Yeah.
ourselves and
Well,
and
and you were
and be
listening.
curious. Yeah,
And be
and be
curious. You were
curious.
really listening. And the
Yeah,
thing about nature, and I know you and I share this, but nature,
yeah,
we are nature.
yeah. Oh,
And
we
we're not,
are.
we
Yes.
are nature. And so if we can marry up, like get this thing settled, like
Yeah.
outside on your patio with the candles and this, like all, whatever works for any given person, like,
Hmm.
and to remember we're nature. So the flow of energy in life wants to move through us. It's years of contraction that kind of keep us all twisted up, right? So the more
Yeah.
we can lighten it up
Yes.
and connect, then we're off to the races. So it's being
Yeah.
intentional too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And it's being aware of where we're knotted up in our bodies and when we're opening up and,
That's right.
receiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. So, anything else you want to tell us about your book?
Ooh, well, the book launches on, which means it goes public on Amazon on Monday, April 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love anybody who might be listening to go grab a copy, reach out and, check in with me. I'd be happy to respond to each and every person that does that. Um, and use this book as a tool for yourself and
Yeah.
for the people that you work with. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And then the 28th, if you're really interested, there's going to be a launch party the evening of the 28th, and it'll be on the website here soon. The registration's already set up. So come and enjoy, learn more. We'll have a couple of speakers join us, and we'll just have a really good time. I'll give away some books. I'll be good.
Oh, awesome. I need to get
Yeah.
that on my calendar.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yes.
should come
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. And what about your report? And I guess you can give us the link for that for them to be able to download the report.
Yeah, the report is actually on the homepage of my website,
Okay.
q4-consulting.com. And if you scroll just a tiny bit, you'll see the picture of the report, and you just put your name in there and you can download it right away. It'll come right into your inbox.
Yeah. And just give
Mhm.
us an overview of what the core of your work is and who you work with.
The core of my work has changed over the years. I'd like to say deepened. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really about working to support people to integrate and uplevel their own inner operating system and to
Mm-hmm.
spread that through their team and subsequently in their business so that we can have healthy, thriving workplaces and communities. That's what I do. That's what I do best. And I love it. And so if anybody out there is listening, I would love to have a conversation with you just to see where that fits with all of you and to support you in the process. Whether that's working with me or not, that's not relevant. What's relevant is whoever's listening to find what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
Chris, you've been part of my Movement Maker Mastermind
Mm-hmm.
for the last six
Yeah,
months or so.
yeah.
Just how's that supported you?
It's what's really fun is you and I have been in others before, and those are
Yeah,
all useful
yeah.
at their
Together,
time.
right.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
together. But what seems to be striking me, I like the fact that it's a little bit more intimate than the other one we had been in before, and that people, all the women in this movement, mastermind, are really engaged in wanting to do good in the world. They're not afraid to offer ideas. They're not afraid to receive them. And so it's been really nourishing. I don't feel the kind of pressure that I did a little bit before, like, oh, I got to get everything just right. I don't feel any of that. It's more like, can you show up? Be willing to offer, be willing to receive. So for anybody listening who needs that, you should call Kami and get on the radar here and go check out a conversation with her about joining. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you, Chris. Um,
Yeah.
the final question I always close
Hmm.
with is what are three pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
Ooh, pearls of wisdom. Pause is the portal to all possibilities. Take yourself seriously and have fun. And extend and be willing to receive. So both extending what you offer and being willing to receive. If we don't do both, then we're kind of stuck and truncated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome, awesome,
Hopefully
awesome.
that's helpful.
Totally. So
Yeah.
helpful and so good.
Mm.
Congratulations on everything that's coming out
Thank
for
you.
you. It's really fun to see. And I can't wait to celebrate your book with you. I can't wait to
Hmm.
get my own copy.
There
And
you go. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I'll be using it for sure.
Okay. Cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool. Yes.
yeah,
Well, thank you. You were the inspiration for the listening tour for sure. And so anybody else who needs to do a listening tour out there, talk to Kami again. And let's spread the wealth and the thriving. That's really what it's all
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Kami.
Chris.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.